some of the states, some of the gray areas that he pointed out that you see here, these areas you can't even uh, attempt to get on the ballot until January 1st. Is why? I don't know. But like I said, he further explains that Democrats don't have to go through this rigorous process every single election cycle. Why not? So one thing that we need to make sure that we have clear, okay, because when it comes to Cornel West running for president, the first question or the first assumption or statement that's always stated is that Cornel West has no way of winning. And at first, I guess if you really don't dig beneath the surface of that question, you would just assume, especially if you really don't care for a third party, you're not gonna really dig deeper into that question or to that statement. But when you're invested or when you are craving for a third party or more parties, to really break that down, that statement kind of sounds a little weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, I started asking individuals, especially on my YouTube comments section, when individuals want to say, I love Cornel West. You know what I'm saying? I read his books, I seen his sermons, I seen his speeches, his teachings. I love the guy, but he has no way of winning. And then I started asking, like, well, what do you mean he has no way? Like, what roadblocks do you see that he can't overcome? And usually I don't get a response back. So this video that we're gonna watch a couple of clips, because it is an hour and 1 minute long. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. If you guys want to watch this interview, definitely go to Status Q's YouTube channel to watch the entire interview. But he's speaking to, I believe this is Rick Less, one of the individuals who's working with Cornel West, like an advisor, someone to work on his campaigning to see him winning. And to watch this interview, it gives me a peace of mind that this is an actual run for president or for the presidency. It's not just a big charade to start a conversation or to do this for his own selfish gain, which, I don't know Cornel West's heart. I am not God, so I can't really speak 100% to that. But watching this, it's actually a plan behind this. They're not just doing it and, it's just Cornel West going on TV shows and just talking. It's actually people behind the scenes trying to overcome the obstacles and hurdles they have to, as a Green Party, to actually win. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch a couple of clips that I found to be interesting, and let's have that conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and every state's different, which makes it very difficult. I helped Jill Stein on her campaign in 2016. We were on the ballot in 45 states, and we were write-in candidates in 3 more, so 48. And 3 states don't allow write-ins and have really high signature thresholds, and we didn't quite get it done. But I think we're starting a lot earlier this time, and we have a really good chance to be on the ballot in 50 states. Right now, we're really focused on Arizona because their deadline is November, I want to say 21st, and we need 37,000 valid signatures. And we've got about 30,000, so we're well on our way. And as long as we keep up the pace we're going at now, we're going to be on the ballot in Arizona. It'll be our first really big win. Yeah, I don't know how much detail you want me to go into by state.
Does it have to be specifically signatures for Cornel West or the Green Party?
So in Arizona, we're going for a ballot line for the Green Party so that they can run candidates up and down the ballot. If we get all these signatures, we can run candidates for Senate, Congress, and all the local races, and statewide legislature and things like that. So we're really pushing for that in as many states as we can. there's 11 states that you can't petition to get a ballot line for a party. So those states we're going to go just for Cornel West for president. Some states will let him list the party. Some won't even do that. They'll just list him as nonpartisan or independent.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And let's show the map while we have it. So
Great.
this is the states so far that you have ballot access. So that would be the green. So in terms of swing states, because in reality, it really is running for president of 7 or 8 states, unfortunately, due to the Electoral College. But you got Wisconsin and Michigan. He's on the ballot, which is great. Not Pennsylvania yet, not Georgia yet, which has now suddenly become a swing state. Like you said, Arizona, not yet. Nevada, not yet. Florida, you are on the ballot, which is great. So talk about in each state, what is the basis? I mean, where do they come up with how many signatures? And it seems to me some of those states, they have often been moving the goalposts to a higher threshold.
Yeah, it's mixed every year. Iowa 7 years ago was 1,000 signatures, and the legislature bumped it up to 3,500 this year because apparently there's too many choices for people on the ballot in Iowa, and it confuses the voter, and they just don't know what to do when they see 4 names to have to choose from. You can go to 31 flavors and you can figure out what kind of ice cream you want, but if you have 4 choices for president, it's mind-boggling apparently. But all of these rules come from state legislatures, from the number of signatures to the form of the petition. I live in New Mexico. It's a very straightforward petition. You go out, someone prints their name, signs their name, puts their address, and that's that. In other states, you have to have the circulator has to be a resident, or they have to sign an affidavit. In some states, they even have to have it notarized, and they have to swear in front of a public notary that they witnessed everything. The laws are made by state legislatures, and we've successfully challenged in the past in some states. And one of the happiest moments in my life is in Pennsylvania when the courts ruled that 25,000 signatures was unreasonable and just set it down to 5,000. So, after having years and years of really struggling to get on the ballot in Pennsylvania, we were able to get Jill Stein on in 2016 with a not easy, but a much simpler threshold for that. So yeah, it's all state by state, every little thing.
All right. So one thing that I kind of picked up with this conversation here, and I gotta admit, even before Cornel West and the Green Party, I never really knew the function or the entire path to get a party on the ballot. I thought it was just something simple like, hey, you're running for president, you have a party, you might have to have a certain amount of money, talk to this person, and then boom, you're kind of good. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, watch the entire interview because it gets really crazy when it comes to each state having their own unique way to get an individual or an entire party onto a ballot. Like, it's different. It's not just, a cookie cutter. Okay, this is the rules nationwide. If you want to get on the ballot on each state, you have to meet these requirements. That would have been my first guess, but that's not the case. Some states is 20,000 signatures. Some states allow online signatures. Some you have to. It's just like, this is why this is complicated for some. This is not for Democrats. Democrats don't have to go through the same process. Republicans don't have to go through the same process. You know what I'm saying? Once again, watch the entire video. He breaks that down. Some of the states, some of the gray areas that he pointed out that you see here, these areas you can't even attempt to get on the ballot until January 1st. Is why? I don't know. But like I said, he further explains that Democrats don't have to go through this rigorous process every single election cycle. Why not? Hey, to me, I'm not the conspiracy type, but they're just a little weird. Don't you think? So I don't know.
If Cornel West runs, would you register to vote and would you vote? You know, or on the right, if the Libertarian candidate gets on the ballot in your state, would you register to vote and vote? We need a much healthier democracy than what we have right now, and that's part of what Cornel West is trying to do.
Well, I also think there's another element to it, and frankly, you're not going to really hear this on CNN's discussions, but Cornel West, from the things he has stated, part of the reason he's running Green Party, yes, he thinks the Democratic Party is kind of morally corrupt, but he also doesn't think he could get a fair shake in a Democratic primary. So maybe the Democratic Party is now the chickens are coming home to roost if you continually rig the process.
Yep.
If you continually, throw your full body on the scale, maybe candidates that, once upon a time would have run in your primary. Cornel West, I believe, supported Jesse Jackson back in the day, the Rainbow Coalition, obviously Bernie. But if you continually rig the process, or in this case, you won't even have a process of a real primary,
Right.
what are people supposed to do? Just waste 2 years of their life, do a vanity run? He outside of his views on the decay of the Democratic Party, he doesn't feel, or others might not feel, they have a legitimate chance to run and have a fair process in the Democratic primary.
Yep.
So to kind of add on my 2 cents there, at some point, if you really care about our democracy, our political process, our structure when it comes to just the world that we live in, if you feel like you can make a change, or if you want to be a part of a change, and it's only 2 parties, so it's not really too many selections, you're gonna veer Democrat. But if you see that party is acting shady, and some of the progressive individuals that are running in the Democratic Party are always getting blacked and shunned and kicked off to the side like a nappy head stepchild, you know what I'm saying? It's like, how is that encouraging to anybody? How are they gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna stick to this party and I'm going to try to make it better. I will try to force its way to a progressive area. And that's how I was at first. I was like, you know what? I don't really agree or even like the spineless tactics of the Democratic Party, but if I could just force it, you know what I'm saying? Like, out of the 2 parties, the Democratic Party is the party that you can probably force your way into a progressive process, a progressive area. But it seems like they got it locked down. They're not going to do that. And we've seen that happen to Bernie Sanders. And that's why it's smart, and I understand why Cornel West decided not to run as a Democrat, even though he supports, the Democratic Party, because he knows that it's not going to work for him. So obviously, right? Okay, sure.
Totally agree. As I said before, I can't really speak on Cornel's behalf other than on ballot access issues, but it's clear from my perspective that the Democratic Party is where progressive politics goes to die. Year after year after year, we could go back, my entire lifetime of just watching the progressives get smeared and having elections get, pretty much, the whole superdelegate system within the Democratic National Convention that just lets the already existing office holders have way too much power and not people. And they claim to be the party of the people, but they're not. And it's so obvious in so many ways.
Absolutely. And can you kind of talk about just what you believe? Because I think this is now kind of I don't know, the third or fourth cycle, you keep hearing the same thing. We got to stop fascism. We got to stop fascism. Bernie recently came out, for lack of a better word, he's said at this particular time, at this particular moment, doesn't feel we could kind of mess around with, more choices. To me, I just feel like, yeah, there is a real threat of fascism. I think the same people saying this kind of forget about the corporate fascism within the Democratic Party. But
Facts.
when is the fascist threat going to go away? When will it be the time? If each election, it's just not the time. It's this particular moment, or this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Yep.
And tell me why. Like the first time I ever voted, and I believe that was Obama. Yeah, I think it was Obama. Yeah. I've been hearing that ever since. This is the most important election of your lifetime. You have to vote with your heart because, destruction, a threat to our democracy is at hand right now. When is that threat going to stop? Because they've been saying that since I was eligible to vote. What is the Democratic Party doing to stop this threat? And when is it going to end so we can broaden our horizon, so we can, get some other thoughts and opinions and other leaders into this political arena? Oh, no, we can't do that because it's a threat. But little do they know or even want to admit that it's the Democrats' fault of why there is a threat to democracy in the Republican Party. Because if the Democrats are doing what they're supposed to do, then it wouldn't even be a question who we vote for. It'd be clear as day. Oh yeah, voting Democrat. They're the only ones that is being responsible in their position of power, that's not giving a handout, but is giving the people, these communities that are in need, regulating these big corporations so they're not exploiting their workers. National threats is properly being taken care of. If all this was happening in the Democratic Party, I would have nothing to complain about. I'd be chilling. But no, that's not what's happening.
No, I mean, that's what they're going to continue to trot out, and I've been hearing it since 1995. It's like, oh, not yet, not yet. And here I am almost 30 years later, and I'm still being told, not yet, not yet.
Of course.
When I first got involved in politics, I hadn't been involved other than to vote. And it was just like, you're spoiling our election by participating in it. And I'm like, that's not what democracy means. My point of view is as equally as important as my neighbors and anyone else's. And the more participation we have, the better. Yeah, fascism's real threat. I mean, if Trump gets elected again, God knows what he'll do. He's a madman, But as you alluded to, the Democratic Party is, just as complicit in destroying our planet through their reliance on oil and gas money. Mm-hmm. I live in New Mexico. Like half of our state budget here is funded by oil and gas excise fees. So it's like drill, baby, drill, and it's Democrats, and they're totally enabling that. People who are serious about pacifism are not going to vote for Biden. The F-16s he sent to Turkey just so we could increase NATO, all the weaponry he's sending to Ukraine. The people who are pacifists don't like that. Real environmentalists are not going to vote for Biden the way he promised wind and is promoting oil and gas instead. The list goes on. People who are passionate about issues like we are not going to vote for Biden. So if there's no
and to add on to that, and he's gonna go on and kind of go into detail there, but I mean, a lot of people do not vote. A lot of people do not even care about politics because they believe, and you know, for most of it, they're correct. They don't care about politics because politics don't care, don't listen, don't care about them. And like I said, they're right because these politicians only tell us what we want to hear, but when they get into that seat, and I'm afraid, you know, AOC might be kind of following suit here, but like it's a whole different conversation they having. You know, we're still in the same kind of situation we were 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like we're making a little bit more money, but now things cost a little bit more. So it's like I should be kind of more relieved financially than I was 10 years ago because minimum wage was way lower, at least in my state, and now it's increased, but everything else is increasing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people are not stupid. And if they continue to see that it's only two parties, essentially the same candidates, the same talking points, the same promises being made, no one's going to be moved by that. Fascism? I don't care. I still got to go to work tomorrow. So what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So we need someone like a Cornel West, and listen when I say someone like a Cornel West, because you know, and we're gonna get into this in the next video, but you know, Cornel is a man. He's not a savior, but he could be an essential start to something great. And you know, at some point we got to start. We can't just continue to talk about it, but never try to force ourselves to get into that position to where we could have a solid third party. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take, you know, a lot of faith and a lot of, you know, spine, courage. You know what I'm saying, to actually do it. Because like I say, you know, let's say Joe Biden wins, the next 4 years is going to be a Vivek running again, and it's going to be a threat to democracy. The next 4 years is going to be some other clown in the Republican Party. It's going to be a threat to democracy. So at some point we just got to, you know, let go the wheel and let Jesus handle the wheel. You know what I'm saying? So
a tricky road to get exposure on this channel, particularly when you're covering stuff that no one else is. But thank you to everybody who's been subscribing. We've definitely gone up in the last recent weeks, and happy you could be on for that. Last question. You know, to me, overall, we can't constantly, you know, be in this wave of elections and people get excited, whether it's, you know, seems a long time ago Bernie, but now Cornel. But then if Cornel gets screwed or he underperforms, people go back to sleep, this and that. How do you take this energy right now? Because you're seeing people kind of excited again for Cornel's run, Green Party run. Obviously, you know, we're not going to bullshit people. It's an uphill climb to win the presidency third party these days. But I think it's very realistic. He could do better than 5%. Ross Perot got what was it, almost 20 million votes 30 years ago. So I don't see why Cornel West can't do a lot better than 5%. How do you take right now the energy you have for third party candidate, Cornel West in particular, and make that a long lasting thing? Because I think one of the problems was Bernie lost, and everybody's got an opinion about, you know, him dropping out, endorsing Biden, et cetera. But he basically just left his organizing infrastructure to whittle away. I mean, at one point he had more people in his Slack than DSA had. Obviously, a lot of those people would have went away anyway because they were not happy with the insider moves he made. But you can't just have kind of these flash in the pan, exciting things around Cornel West, around Bernie, and then everybody goes away. You're going to need to build up an infrastructure that is there for the long term, whether the candidate you know, wins, loses, does better than expected, does worse than expected, pisses you off after they exit. How do you harness this energy for a long-lasting infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And in some ways, the infrastructure, it might not be an infrastructure so much as asking people to just act on their own and empowering them to do that by making them aware. You know, I work on elections. It's what I'm passionate about because I think I can really make changes. But after November, our legislative session starts in January. I pick one or two issues and I follow them. This last year, it was community solar and also empowering people with tax breaks to put up solar, and communities and cities to put up solar. And even if you just follow one issue, even if you just make a few phone calls during the legislature, or maybe it's something more local than that. Do you know who your city councilor is? Do you know who your county commissioner is? It's up to each individual to find that out. And, everyone cares about something, whether it's daycare for their children, or whether it's raising the minimum wage, or whether it's environmental or pacifist issues. There's a lot of groups out there. And, the Cornel West campaign is trying to unify politically people on the left, but also there's a lot of people that care about Cornell that care about different issues. And I would just encourage everyone that's viewing this today or whenever they're viewing it, what issues really matter to you and who makes the decisions around that? Educate yourself, talk to your neighbors, get to know your neighbors and talk about things that are affecting your own little neighborhood or that you really deeply care about at a national or international level. And just take action. You don't need an infrastructure. You don't need an expert to tell you your opinion and what to do about it. You can figure that out on your own. The Cornel West campaign is going to come and go, and he may be here. He may win. He may be in the White House. He may run again in 4 years. We don't know. The Green Party is not going anywhere. I mean, it's going to be around. If you don't know how to access your government, try to contact your local Green Party or Socialist Party and say, who are the people I should talk to? But it's hard to motivate people between elections who only care about elections. But why do you care about elections? What issue is it that makes you want to be involved with Cornell's campaign or with any other campaign? And then how do you, in between elections, do it?
Yep.
I have a lot of faith in people. We're smart people, humans, and we can figure out how to get stuff done. So I would just, that's my answer, is there doesn't necessarily need to be an infrastructure. But,
All right. Let's go ahead and switch back here. So essentially what I got from that was, if you want this guy to win right here, you need to do your part. And I'm not saying that you have to go out there and, volunteer and get signatures, and that'd be cool if you could. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and look at that map. At the start of this video, look up that website and see what you have to do. I live in Colorado. The Green Party already has access ballot in Colorado. I'm going to be voting for Cornel West until if something else happens in between now, then, it's upon my discretion. But as of right now, 8:53, I'm voting for Cornel West. I'm going to do what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? But if you want more options, if you want a Cornel West to win or even establish something more concrete for the Green Party now, so in the next election, it's a little bit more established. Do something now. Don't just talk. Don't just comment in people's YouTube videos complaining about our two-party system, and you're complaining that both parties suck and this, and you're not doing nothing when we have a glimpse of hope. I don't like those kind of people. They're complaining, green red party sucks, blue party sucks. Okay, let's try to get Cornel in there. Nah, he's not gonna win. There's no way to win, so I'm just gonna vote blue. Look, bro, you're wasting my time. You're wasting your time. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, people just have to, just grow a spine at some point. You know what I'm saying? And if, this attempt to try to get Cornel West into the presidency causes Donald Trump to win, then, well, hey, grab some popcorn. whatever. What's your favorite kind of popcorn? I will get you some, and we just gonna have to sit back and enjoy the show. You know what I'm saying? But I will not allow people to force me to vote for someone I don't want to. It's not gonna roll with me like that. If a Donald Trump is inevitable, if he's the Thanos in our story, and he's going to somehow collect all the joints and do one of those things, then hey, it is what it is. We just gonna have to let the chips fall where they may. If that's how the cookie crumbles, then it's gonna crumble. You know, if this is the rubber hitting the road, then you understand what I'm trying to say. So, once again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think we just gotta vote blue no matter who to prevent a Donald Trump from getting into office, my question is, what about the next 4 years? What about the next 4 years after that? What about after that? Let me know in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.